Welcome to my backyard food forest tour, September, St. Petersburg, Florida, Zone 10A. I was a little hesitant to do this month. Lots of papayas though. They go to fruit so quickly. These stages of growth are just as important as the stages where the fruit is bare. It's a big payoff, of course. Here's the loquat. We might get some fruit here this winter. It's the big payoff, but not possible without the growth that precedes. It's about the journey. Mulberry. And if you did see last month or the previous months, you'd be pretty impressed with how much growth this mulberry put on. I sure am. Here's the cacao, lychee, the longevity spinach has been going nuts. We've been eating a lot of that. And it's a relatively young system. I put most of these things in this year, 2025, January and on. Lots of papayas down the row. Things are certainly booming toward the end here of rainy season. It's been hot. It's now officially fall. A few of these papayas, you might notice, they had to go. Aphids were just running too rampant, and papayas, especially ones that aren't really bearing fruit. I think I actually cut this one and it has grown back this much. But the ones that aren't heavily bearing, that one's pretty great. That one's really nice. It's just time for something else to come up in their place. I don't want aphids spreading all over the garden. This is a persimmon fuyu. Not really doing that well. Look at that. Curled, possible deficiency. Got some black spots, and that's all there is to it. Just those few leaves. If anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. I'm not opposed to supplementing with any natural material. Speaking of which, this Okinawan spinach was actually paling in comparison to the longevity. And I did recently harvest this, so it's a lot smaller than it just was. But I added some banana water. I just soaked some banana peels in water for a couple days. Poured it around this Okinawan, and she really took off. It's looking really nice, and it's delicious. The cassava has created canopy while I've waited for this papaya to take over. And it's still helping out a lot in the morning sun to shield the kumquat, for example. And hey, yeah. Alright, so we do have some fruits. Neela mango. New growth. Look at that. Modest new growth. It's beautiful. This is a slow grower, a smaller mango tree, which is great, especially if space is not extremely abundant. So it's gonna grow somewhat slowly. It's gonna push slowly. Here's a nice sugar apple. It's coming along. Got a bunch of those going throughout here. And I'm not necessarily planning for everything to come to fruition and bear fruit. What I'm more interested in is the gradual progression and over time some things bearing fruit. And lucky enough to already have that going on in spades with these papaya trees. So what's the next phase going to be? Well, this winter, hopefully the loquat. Maybe even some Indian jujube, which we'll see in a moment. And then the star apple, we'll see in a few years, you know? It's from seed. Lots of things here are, but I do have some grafted prizes. The Neelam is grafted. Here's a soursop, also from seed. Super happy in the canopy. Direct sun, like when I cut back this yucca too far, these leaves were just scorched in like June or so. So, that's an ornamental banana. I'm going to use that for biomass. As you can see on the ground, we've got tons of green and brown matter that is making up the floor. Some of it's alive, but if it's going to go to seed, I like to take that out of there. And the moringa is a great source of biomass. Look at that. I cut this back once every month or two, and it just keeps coming back with these beautiful, nutritious leaves, both for humans and plants. This guava had a little bit of trial and tribulation in the months past, but it is really doing great. There were ants, they were farming aphids and something else, but I have been spraying from time to time with a solution of dish soap, water, and an essential oil blend that my wife had put together. She had some excess. It also, I believe, included witch hazel. I don't know if that is necessarily beneficial or not to the whole endeavor of protecting against bugs, but it sure has been helpful when I've used it. And there's the guava. There's the lone fruit on this tree. Super excited about that. And all right, here we go. Boom. If you saw the February or March video, you would have seen this blue java as just a tiny little nugget, and it's just booming. Loves the summertime. Look at this. Get out of here. It's so nice walking through these leaves. Here's that jujube. Zoom out on that. It's taller than me. And tons of flowers, so it would be super cool to get to see some fruits. And I have noticed ants, but what they're doing on the jujube flowers is they're just kind of laying on them. Alright, they're not actually eating anything or bringing any pests like aphids. They're just pollinating, is what I'm imagining. There's some more there. But there's so many flowers, and I think they're going to help to pollinate, so hopefully we can get some fruit. The jujube also has quite a bit of thorns on the other undersides of the branches, so beware. But that should be a winter fruit. Looking forward to that. Let's go to this fig, and I'm passing by stuff like pigeon pea, lemongrass. There's so much of it, and again, that's chop and drop. This fig is massive. Look, this one's standing up. When I got this, it was just a little sprawling little thing on the ground, and now they're raising up to the sky, and Oh man, if I get figs? Are you kidding me? Hopefully for years to come. But man, the payoff on those first ones is going to be amazingly gratifying. It's the backside of this massive curry tree that just keeps on growing no matter how much I cut it. Behind this pigeon pea lemongrass, we've got the sugar cane. Try to keep this area super moist. It's doing well. And here's the lemon zest. Also doing great. Had a really questionable existence back in, I don't know, May or so. But really turned things around. Ornamental, banana, cassava pigeon pea seem to do really well, and lemongrass. I don't have to do anything to make sure they just grow like crazy. Sugar apple hiding the Anonas, kind of like to be tucked, I find, in the summer. It's kind of chilling in the cut. This is a plantain. A little bit of Mexican sunflower still coming through. A lot of that got chopped down. That was really heavily infested at one point. So I tried to deal with it, but just cut it down. Here's an Ooh La La Super Haas avocado. It's been putting out new growth. This one's pretty new. Grafted. So high hopes for that. The mulberries. Hoping to get some mulberries this spring. And everything's a bit jumbled here. But there's the mulberry. There's one branch of it. And there's the trunk. But I think the jumbly effect is helpful. These plants are living in a natural environment. You know, there's no way this soursop would be happy if it were just sitting in a circle of mulch in the middle of my yard. It would never work. It has to be in this environment. Planted a foot and a half or two from each mulberry tree. Kind of where it wants to be, at least now. Another sugar apple. Super happy. And if they end up competing later, when it gets bigger, then I'll deal with it with the pruning. Pruning's a major addition, like an import of energy into the system that I am willing to give in exchange for not having to give. This mango is from seed. In exchange for not having to give imports like mulch. Right? I'm not inputting even many grafted trees or other purchasables, things I have to haul in. Things are right there, creating the environment so that it's healthy. Speaking of healthy, this is a nice bunch up here of papaya. And with these healthy systems mimicking nature, I think it gives the trees the best chance to thrive. So that's what we're doing here. I appreciate you guys stopping in. I'm going to do this on the other side, a shorter video for the front. A couple of Suriname cherry from seed. I love those. They'll be coming up. Star apple, that's the biggest one. Speaking of the biggest, the jackfruit. Taller than me. Whereas you can check out April, May. Yeah, the thing was half that height. So things are really starting to take shape. And we really have to trust and love the process. But impatient, sure. Skip some steps. Sure. Grafted trees. That's some cha-cha. Okay. Import mulch. If you are willing to incur the cost and the time. Alright. What about pesticides? Chemical fertilizer? You know, where do you draw the line? So keeping it natural, keeping it all in line with nature as much as possible. That's going to give these plants and us the best chance of thriving. So we're ready for Halloween on this side. Got some seedlings here that are willing to prove if they can stand the climate in this area of the yard. That's an Asian pear. We'll see. 450 hours in temperatures under 45 degrees in a season. Can that happen this winter? Maybe. Dragon fruit putting up some new ears. That's pretty cool. This tomato's gonna be happening. Some more papaya. They're great to just get things started, so you can start putting things under them that like the shade. Pineapple tends to like some shade. There's a soursop under there too that's gonna benefit. And this guy is a Blue Java ice cream banana pup that I got from a friend, put it in the ground, and it's already pupping. Yeah, this guy's exploded. Look at that. Boom. Got some more smaller papayas coming up in this younger side. Thanks for hanging in if you're still there. Smaller jackfruit. And another Suriname on the end here, because we got these seeds from a neighbor's Suriname as we walked by, so we've got this one on the end. So when it's prolific, any passersby should be able to help themselves. And this is the one male papaya tree on the property. I don't know, I've just been super lucky, I guess, because pretty much all the others bear fruit, and hey, you need one guy in the pack, right? At least. But they might even be self-pollinating, because they were making fruit from the first few trees that I planted all by themselves. Anyway, signing off. Thanks for coming to my happy place. I hope you learned something. I hope you drop some comments to help me learn something. And we've got this patch getting ready here is a good example of the Pioneer Pigeon Pea. This was a palm that fell, kind of like that one. So after I busted up the root ball in the trunk, we've got this nice bare area that now can give us food. So pigeon pea is going to lead the way, and any other little things that we want to plant will have some shade to sprout safely under. Alright guys, see you next time.